Well, joining me live now is William Courtney. He's a former US ambassador to Kazakhstan and Georgia and adjunct senior fellow at RAND Corp, a think tank here in the US that focuses on policy analysis. William, great to see you.
Thank you, Laura.
I wanted to concentrate on this new footage we've seen, a satellite picture of Fordow that shows activity at the site just a week after that bombing raid. What do you think it tells us about the damage or otherwise done to that facility?
The Iranians are trying to figure out themselves what is the damage. They don't know. They do know now, thanks to the briefings from the U.S. and some initial damage assessment, that our bombs went down the ventilation shafts, so they probably penetrated deeper than would otherwise have been the case and are more likely to have blown up the centrifuges further down in the main hall where the centrifuges were.
Okay, and Fordow was this fortress that was seen as the facility that was the hardest to get to because the centrifuges were so far down a mountainous region, and that's why you needed these bunker buster bombs. We heard Pete Hegseth when we arrived here in Washington DC just a couple of days ago with General Kane going to great lengths to explain what these bombs do, and essentially that they had one guy and a team looking at the Fordow facility for so long, and essentially these bombs then being designed for that. Did that surprise you?
No, the Fordow issue has been a prominent issue in the nuclear nonproliferation community for a long time. We didn't know, of course, on the outside that Pentagon and the intelligence community had devoted so much energy to Fordow at the beginning, but the bunker buster was known to have been designed for Fordow and other potential contingencies.
So how much damage do you think is done? We've seen, various reports. I would note that intelligence report that was leaked, what wasn't widely reported, that it had low confidence written on that, and it was an initial assessment. The battle damage assessment, we've seen an initial one, an official one put forward by Hegseth and General Kane, but really that can take weeks or months to fully understand what has happened. Is there a chance, William, if we don't get someone on the ground there from the Allies' point of view, that we may never know?
We will probably have some idea, in part because we will see what measures the Iranians take themselves to try to rebuild or repair or maybe just leave behind what's going on in Fordow. But there is a fair amount of consensus that the damage was severe. The CIA director, Ratcliffe, the IAEA head, Grassi, they both said essentially severe damage.
If I could ask a stupid question for a moment, what is most critical in terms of success? Is it most critical to damage those centrifuges or to have targeted the enriched uranium? To
damage the centrifuges. Okay. The biggest concern would be that Iran would develop a large-scale nuclear program, develop for 100 atomic weapons or something like that. Something on the order of what Pakistan has done or what Israel has. If the enriched uranium escaped damage, it's possible a couple of atomic bombs could be made from that, but you would need the Fordow facility and some other facilities to have a larger scale program. So that was what was aimed at. The enriched uranium is only 400 kilograms. That could have been moved more easily. And probably if the Iranians were smart, they would have dispersed that well before the attacks.
Well, perhaps they weren't that smart, who knows. But William, before I let you go, I wanted to ask you what I think is a question that many Americans, particularly here in DC, are grappling with as to why it was, or Trump saw that this was in America's national interest to get involved. The Israelis had done a lot of damage on their own. Why do you think Trump made that call in the end?
For several decades, the West and the international community have tried to negotiate with Iran to stop the program or at least limit it. And in 2015, there was an agreement to slow the program down, perhaps for 10 years or so. Unwisely, the U.S. pulled out of that agreement, and the Iranians have expanded their capability. Now, if there's going to be a new negotiation, the West, Israel, have to have greater bargaining leverage in that negotiation to get a good outcome. So what Israel did and what the U.S. did both should enhance the leverage of the West to get an agreement either that limits enrichment or maybe even ends it in Iran. But we have to wait and see how that negotiation goes.
Yeah, still negotiation to come, even though this has been certainly a massive inflection point when it comes to Middle East politics. William, it's great to see you. Thank you. Thank you for your time.